area, because that was 100 restored, or 200 or whatever, what they tell me, so I'm not gonna hope I'm not around the next one. All right, anybody else?
Mr. Mayor, we need to have the staff continue, or we will need an assessment of many things in terms of what it might cost, what the benefits would be. But this is something that will go across the town in many places, and a lot of folks will be affected. It's something we should look at.
Yeah.
If it means that we remove them from the requirement of flood insurance, it doesn't preclude them from asking for flood insurance. So your example, I think, put somebody in that position where they can still ask for it, they don't have to require to pay for it.
Well,
And I think, ISIC certainly is an example of what can happen in circumstances that drove us to the situation. There's a lot of pieces to that, not necessarily because of the level of lay of our land.
right.
So, but we think of it as citizens to find what we can do, even if it's only 40% of the people, if it's something less than that.
All right, well, if you would find out something a little more,
Without spending money.
yeah, and get back.
More concrete, bring it back.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Do we have any input from the town engineers on this? In other words, I basically like to know how Wellington pulled it out and got 100%. I think y'all had to go in more detail than what you did for us. And the other thing is, you went in detail, you went to a certain point. Casimar's not here, okay.
No,
Okay.
this is Simmons.
Well, that was my question to you earlier this week, Bill. In other words, we need to know what they can do for us that they did for Wellington, they didn't do for us, okay?
okay, Lawrence.
There was also, John, just so you're aware, you should probably doing this later. I spoke to Steve Yohe about the same thing that I spoke with Randy from Keshavar's when he was here about the need for a lower structure somewhere alongside the boulevard. And Steve said that was certainly something that was doable if only he was talked to. And he told me he'd never discussed it. And it was my understanding at that meeting that it had been discussed with them. So I think that perhaps a little better communication between town engineer, Mr. Yogi, and maybe follow up by Bill to see what's going on with that would be appropriate, because it seems strange that I got one answer at this meeting and then another answer when I asked Steve about what was going on. And if it's as simple as that, about being able to lower the water a little earlier, well, then we ought to be able to go with that and avoid $50,000 of just taking pictures and actually do something that structurally solves the problem, or at least attempts to alleviate the problem. Give us whatever that, you don't have to get rid of all the water, there's just a portion that needs to come off at a certain height. And that could be achieved perhaps with a real engineering discussion between these gentlemen and not just whatever went on before.
That was one of the three things that happened that caused the flooding, because it was not dry low enough soon enough. But anyway, Lawrence, come up.
Lawrence, 2834. Concerning the Day property, the backup in the planning docs show that you settled for commercial low. If you could give us some back and forth between the two sets of lawyers as how you came and negotiated to that resolution. Because obviously there was a feeling in the town that we really didn't want this. So it would be interesting to figure out how did you come, what was said back and forth as you reached the settlement? Because of course this will reflect all the way down Okeechobee. When we first did that the Okeechobee, I wouldn't want to call it a mini charrette, but just some get-together, you published a list of potential uses. That list seemed to be something you could get off the back of a cereal box. So I think you need to look at those potential uses as to what reflects the character of the town. I mean, we need to get a grip on this before it gets too far out. And Tom, when you mentioned we should not try to reach too far out of the town, you did mention at the same time how many and what levels of power came in and reached into the town. And at that time, the developer's attorneys went to Tallahassee and took away our right to vote under the charter within our town. So let's not forget,
Let's not forget that I supported the right of the people to vote on that.
and we appreciate that. And it's a indication of external power coming into the town and exerting their will over your charter. The other point on Okeechobee is in the Minto plan already, you can read it in the docs, that from E Road moving east is 4-lane. And then off to the west, and I can't remember whether it's A or B or whatever, it's 4-lane going west. So now you're leaving this little chunk out of the middle, which wouldn't make any sense to people paying for road construction. You know, they're gonna pay for the west side, they're gonna pay for the east side, and they're gonna be looking at that piece in the middle saying, geez, we'd be saving money just to do that now. So the national trend has been to stop the bifurcation of cities and towns. The Big Dig in Boston is the best example. And we're going in the opposite direction where we are cutting our town in half. So we're going against the national trend.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much. All right. Any other comments about the administrative update? We're done? Yeah, Ron?
To my manager and legal, at the water control district, it was expressed that this interlocal agreement, as far as the trails and stuff, I believe they said that we received it 2 months ago. How are we doing? Can you give us an update on that as far as how close we are to, they presented what they were satisfied with. Now, how close are we as far as our reply and get this moving?
Well, we're gonna get together on it tomorrow. We've been talking about it since Bill came on board, and we think we can get something back to them in very short order. I don't want to promise an exact date, but I would hope for the next meeting we at least get something back to them, be able to report to you that we did.
Sounds good.
Mr. Mayor, could you now give us an explanation on the attorney?
We can't.
You can't?
We can't. That was done in negotiation according to a lawsuit. It will be open to the public. It will be brought up at one of the next meetings, but we really can't legally go through that now.
Can I just
So can you
clarify one thing though? There is no agreement to do anything on that property other than process that application.
That's all.
That's it.
So you've agreed to CLU, the commercial loan.
I think I already just said
Yeah, no, we can't,
what it
this,
is.
the commercial low was part of the comp plan. We had commercial low, and the wording was low impact non-residential. So, but that's gonna be brought up, and we'll talk about it in the future meetings.
So you want us at the planning board to go ahead with that prior to you
On the
explaining?
planning board,
It'll be explained at the planning board.
you will be privy to things there, but we can't bring up here.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, you will not be blind, but
Okay, thank you, sir.
there's reason for that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we are at status of the Chamber of Commerce.
Mayor, Council, we've been looking to bring all the pieces together. We've got appraisals that we're putting together with the structural review and review for compliance with ADA and other federal laws. I believe that we will have something at the next meeting which will be a complete package with all the answers.
I talked to 3 of the commissioners. They're willing to work with us on the land underneath it. So,
I knew you'd be successful with that.
well, I figured we're the only ones. Anyway, all right. Moving to new business, 10A, ITC rotation schedule.
Yes, we've had 2 different rotational schedules in 2 different days, and there was some confusion, and staff is not in a position of eradicating the confusion. However, we can give it to the council And as for your recommendation, we had one that was done, prepared June 16th, another one prepared June 18th, which basically addressed the town's membership on the IGC. And we're looking for the council to provide guidance on which one to use.
All right. And my question then, and did you ever find out why it was changed 2 days later?
I did not, sir.
Okay, so we don't know. It makes no sense.
No, I took all the papers from the beginning to the end and tried to write them out and see if it was even if there was a rotation that could be discerned, and I couldn't see. We ever did it 5 in a row, and then 5 in a row the same way twice for the last 4 years, hasn't
That's
happened.
probably true.
So therefore, there's no way to say what's the
All right.
right rotation, so.
And I understand that both Ron and Tom want this.
No, at this point, if Ron was saying.
We want what the water control district revised, because Lynette has always in the past revised it when it's time. In other words, all she does is say, here's who's up next, here's when you finish it. And we've never had a problem in the past. This is the first time that she sent us a revision, and 2 days later, the town sends her our revised, not the water control. In other words, it changed mine and Rocket's position, moved Ryan up, and didn't consult the council or anything. So I think we're better off if we don't dig into it. But I definitely didn't like them doing that.
So as long as we're in agreement, you're all right?
Yeah, Ron, we did have a.
Okay.
So we're in Ryan's position, though, that's not getting happened, so I don't want to give Ryan's position where he's the man.
I mean, honestly, I was gonna go to a very scientific method and like flip a coin.
Yeah, we don't need to do that. Ron can have it, but I think that part of it had to do with, if you look back in all the records, 2 years ago when I was ill, I didn't do it. And that changed the rotation. And then when that had me completely slipped out of the rotation on hers for a while.
Okay.
And then that, when they rectified that, they made up a new thing. Why there was 2 of one day and one another day, I have no idea.
And I know in the past, it was not set that much in concrete, because I know at one time I had conflicts and flipped with somebody else, so, you know, that's just something we've always done. All right, so we're gonna start going with the IGC that was accepted on the 16th instead of the 18th. All right.
That is the will of the council.
Okay, moving to closing comments. I've got several by the public. Rosalind, what? Or do you just want to read it?
I'd like to actually ask a couple of questions, since I'm
Yeah, come on
right
up.
here.
Well, these are public comments. We might not be able to give you answers to them.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilman, and public. I'm sort of new to the area. I live on 22nd Road North. I have 2 pieces of property there, one that has a house on it, one that's vacant, and they're both half regular parcels. Apparently the zoning has been brought, that if you wanted to build on a carport or a garage or a shed or something of that nature, even a chicken coop or, you know, something small, it has to be 50 feet from the sidelines. There's, you know, ordinances for that. There's no way, shape, in any piece of my property that there's anything that's 50 feet from the side, front, back, anywhere, unless I made something this big, and put it right in the center, and my house is already there. So, I was told by Mr. Garrett to come in and speak if possible, that apparently they're trying to make some changes, I was told, he said they're trying to make some changes, but I've been here for 3 years. I'd like to proceed in a modification of a shed that I have so that I can put my lawn equipment in there instead of in my living room. I was just told to start coming to the meeting, which I haven't had a chance to do. This is actually a pleasure. I'm going to be coming again.
Good.
So that's basically what I wanted to propose and see if you are willing to possibly make some changes, variances, and, or do we have to apply for variances? I'm not sure exactly how it even works, but he said just come and start here.
Okay. I think it would probably be a good idea for us to put before committee and review, because there are some smaller lots in Los Angeles Groves. Most of our ordinance were set up for 5 acres.
Yes, sir. I'm aware of that.
And typically under this scenario, the applicant would apply for variance.
Okay.
And go through the whole process.
If we look back, you know, even just to see what the county was prior to us becoming a town. It might give us a starting point, but, yeah, go to them, you'd be asking for a variance. You know, obviously, we're not gonna want you to put a, hog pen next to your neighbor's yard.
But for pre-existing structures and things like that, or, you know, people that are putting pools in, and I can't get a, you know, permits or, you know, just finish my shed, so it's kind of like
Thank you.
unfair. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we got Phyllis. You go with it?
Phyllis Camillion, 359 West Key Road. Never know what I'm gonna say, huh? This is about, I went to the plaza this morning to drop my truck off, okay? We're still having a serious problem in the plaza with the drinking and the trash. And the other night, I came by, there was a man laying behind the plaza on a bicycle, and I asked him if he was okay. He finally responded to me. A few years back, I came upon what I thought was a car accident with a bicycle. It was an armed robbery. Okay? This kind of behavior brings crime into our neighborhood because these guys that are thugs, all different colors, races, whatever, it doesn't matter, know that these people are carrying all their money on them, that these workers. Okay, so I would like to ask our new manager, town manager, because he's in the plaza, they're currently in the plaza, and there's a lot of trash. There was some trash right outside the Monday morning. And I would like to ask him if perhaps he could come up with some remedies, other than code enforcement, or write a letter to Mr. Yee, insisting that he cleans up the area, perhaps hires a guard that can be at all different times. Because this is really all day. It starts about 11 o'clock, these guys are out there drinking. And our plaza, we have some nice businesses in our plaza, and they are losing business because all the traffic coming into the post office, as soon as they turn that corner, they see 5 guys drinking, you know, and garbage. So, you know, I've been at this for a while. I would really appreciate some input and some help, maybe for our town manager, to come up with some solutions. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to support Phyllis on this. This is a problem, and it's not just at the plaza, it's also at the A&G market. And yet, not 200 feet away at the gas station, it doesn't go on. And so, you know, part of it, we all know, has to do with the people who operate the facility. If they don't enforce rules on their clientele, this occurs. And if you got a store that sells beer, the guys who stand outside and drink it, you probably want them to have another, not go on. So, you know, it's in their economic interest to keep it going, so we need to do what we need to do to bring this to a stop. Because I agree with Phyllis, it's ridiculous, it's a mess as far as there's always trash, we've got people drinking, we got the Alcoholics Anonymous non-drinkers over there trying to stop people from drinking, deciding in Spanish don't drink anymore, you know.
Police the area.
Try to control
Thank you. Thank you, folks. Ron, did you have something you were saying?
Just
Okay,
say-
Marge?
Lauren Herzog, A Road. I just wanted to ask the council members if you spoke with the management regarding my concern the last time about being the face of Loxahatchee Groves at the Palm Beach County meetings, or finding out which committees you've been assigned to attend as the liaison.
Okay. I don't know. I think everybody knows what committees they're names on.
And as far as Palm Beach, Marge, you do an outstanding job, and you represent the landowner of Loxahatchee, so if you're there, I'm satisfied.
Wait a minute. You're elected to represent us at the League of Cities. I mean, I did my 2 years when I was on the board.
Am I the one that's supposed to represent us? Are you right?
Ryan Liang is on it.
Okay. well,
You were supposed to represent us at the EOC.
Right, and I
I do. I stay in touch with the fire department all the time, not
But
just.
there's monthly meetings, there's monthly meetings where there's votes, and our town is not getting the representation. We're not getting the right to express our needs and concerns because you guys are not attending these meetings.
I'm pushing all the way down here.
I've already said that Tom has been to the committee meetings. I don't know what county meetings he's been assigned to, but there's a lot of them. I mean, the League of Cities, they meet up in Orlando or other places. They've been in Tampa too. I went to Orlando and Tampa when I was on the council.
I don't know when those do.
You went to Orlando 1 year, okay. But they have it every year. They have it every year, okay? All right, the other things, Thursday night, the LGLA will have their candidates forum. So if you're not sure where the 3 candidates stand on issues, see Ken Johnson, give him some of your questions that he can consider to ask to the candidates.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Marge. Ken Johnson. You're probably out going to ask for the same thing. Come on up.
No, I worked about half of you. Well, half of you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, supervisors. I've got some food for thought. This is just me. Looking at what we're facing as a town. We've got some major problems. Some of these problems I've addressed previously. You, in some ways, have addressed some of it, but it's traffic control. A lot of our problems tend to be traffic control. 1, cut through traffic. 2, traffic enforcement. I mean, if you look and see how much money not saying that it should be a money-making project, but if you look on the budget last year, see how much money we collected off of traffic enforcement, it's minuscule. Minuscule. The problem that I see from sitting out here is that we need to be more proactive in our thought process as to what's going to happen in Loxahatchee Grove to us, the taxpayers, rather than being reactive. In other words, we need to be thinking out of the box as to what's coming down the line at us and trying to stem the tide and doing something about it now, rather than when the horse gets out of the barn, then we say, oh my goodness, we can't have that, and do something. Let's do it ahead of time. We're talking about the cost of the traffic light. I've been in favor of a traffic light on both ends of D Road for a long time, because I think we need it. It will cut down the traffic. It will help people on the north side of Okeechobee to get out. But what have we done to ask the county for money to pay for that lot? I mean, they have slush funds from traffic, from estate, roads, you name it. And they dole this out to other cities and towns around in Loxahatchee, in Palm Beach County. But I don't know that we've ever gotten a nickel from them. Now, they paid for a couple of roads to be prior to us being incorporated. But since then, I think that we need to be going after them for some money to help pay for this thing. Can I turn in the middle sheet and have another 3 minutes? Last topic. Progress is coming. We're in the crosshairs. All these homes are going to be busting out all over to the west of us. We need to control traffic, speed limit by enforcement on Okeechobee. And the last thing, are there any resolutions or ordinances on the books concerning the height of buildings, signage, billboards, lights, or size of buildings? Is all of that included? Because what's gonna happen, once all these houses get out there, all of a sudden you're gonna see billboards coming right down Southern Boulevard.
We've
We need
got
that.
ordinances.
We've got it. Okay,
I need to tweak them, we've got.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ken. All right, council members. Oh, yeah.
Well, that was very efficient meeting. Thanks everybody for their assistance.
What?
I think it was a good short meeting, I like it. Bill, I want to compliment you on the way you handled the agenda, okay? I think that gives the residents a chance to see where we're at, what we're working on, instead of just, town manager comments. So keep up the good work, and you two get together and let's see if we get this question trail moving.
Okay, right?
Oh, I think this beat our previous record, and I'm pretty happy about that. It's 8:10 right now. Hopefully, Judy and Dave won't make it too much longer. But thank you for coming, everyone.
Pressure on that. Jim?
Well, I brought a couple things I wanted to talk about in this section. I think about a half hour. No, I thank everybody for coming and you have a lot of progress.
Okay, and real quick, I think that ultimately, we're gonna need a light at D Road. I really don't wanna pay for it, I want the county to pay for it. So that's something we will still continue to pursue. I know there's comments, and it sounds wonderful about us taking over Okeechobee as far as ownership. It would require two things. Number one, would require the county to allow us to take over. If you have attended the Minto meetings, George Webb said that by 2035, if all the development out there goes like it might, we will need 5 6-lane roads to handle the traffic from the acreage. 5 6-lane roads, there's only 3. There's North Lake, there's Okeechobee, and there's Southern. So for us to think that the county would give it to us, will ask, but it's part of their thoroughfare plan, and somehow their engineers have to come up with some kind of way of moving the number of people that the county commissioners tend to approve, in these developments, because they seem to be wide open on what they're approving. So anyway, concerned, but anyway, we just have to stay vigilant. The 29th, Wednesday, is the meeting with the county commission regarding the Minto development, So, just like Ken said, 5 years from now, if the traffic is unbearable and you didn't go to that meeting, shame on you. I mean, that's the way I look at it. So anyway, thank you all for coming. If you want to go, motion adjourned. Right.
Is he looking in? Yeah, she's done better.
Good evening and welcome to the October 21st meeting of the Los Angeles Grove Town Council. We have a roll call, please.
Mayor Browning,
Here.
Vice Mayor Darrell,
Here.
Councilman Goldenay,
Here.
Councilman Rocket,
Here.
Councilman Liang.
Here. If you would stand for the pledge, remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, again, we ask for wisdom and guidance. We pray for a smooth meeting. We pray that a lot will be done. And Lord, we just pray that you'll watch over those that are fighting for our country overseas. For those that are facing some localized flooding, we thank you that it's not us. We pray in your name. Amen.
Maybe they can adjust the flood map.
Yeah, adjust the flood. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. First off, are there any changes anybody wants to make?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
A motion by Tom, second by Ryan. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. It passes 5-0. Moving on to the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
No.
What's that? Oh, there is none. Okay, well then never mind. Okay, public comment. I've got two. I've got Keith Harris.
It's for the traffic lights, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. And then Tim, is yours for public comments now?
Traffic lights also.
Oh, traffic light also. Good deal. Moving on, there are no presentations, no committee reports. Right now, I'm going to take a little break and share an experience I had today. My wife and I had the opportunity to go to the Loxahatchee Groves Elementary School and read to the kindergarten class. It's part of the Read for the Record, where they encourage town elected officials to go and read a book. So we read Bunny Cakes to the kindergartners of Loxahatchee Groves. The good part about it, your mayor did not have to dress up in llama pajamas this time, or a Farmer Brown like last year. But the story is about a little brother and sister, bunnies, who want to make cakes for their grandmother. Well, the one I identify with best is not the one with the, white cake or angel food with the raspberry icing. It was the one that was dirt with worms. So we made a dirt cake with gummy worms, and at first grossed the little kids out when the mayor ate a worm, but then I told them. So we proceeded to let them each dig a worm out of the dirt and eat a worm. So anyone here that has maybe a complex, the old nobody loves me, everybody hates me, I think I'll go eat worms, you're welcome to a worm tonight. So anyway, so ends my
And the
my
dirt
statement.
was crushed Oreos.
Yeah, the dirt was crushed Oreos. Thank you for Yeah, we're digging gummy worms up real good. Okay, moving to resolution 6A, traffic signal at Okeechobee D Road. Bill?
Mayor, council, this is a new format for the agenda. I'm trying to give you a summary, short and brief, identify the problem, identify a solution, and then a recommended action. Basically, this is for the implementation of a stoplight, traffic light at D and Okeechobee. It's been on the council's radar and budget for approximately 2 fiscal years. And we are now at the point where we're prepared to move forward. As you're aware, we selected Simmons and White as traffic engineer approximately 2 years ago. And they are here if you would like to speak with either one of them. They've made a proposal. It is basically lump sum except the items I've denoted. The cost is ostensibly $57,806.20. And there are some items that could be hourly time and materials, and we'll find out that as we go through the process. As we move through the process and they prepare the various items, if we're at an item and it comes to a stop, then we'll come back to the council and advise that is the case. This agenda item is for approval for the manager to sign the agreement with Simmons and White to move forward with the design and the elements identified 1 through 10.
Okay. All right. We'll make a motion and a second first, and then we'll open it to discussion. Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make that one.
Okay, Ryan makes a motion, is there a second?
I'll say,
Second by Ron. Discussion by council. Don, we'll start off.
Yeah, I've spoken about this extensively in the past, and I would say that I stand by all the things I said. I find it inappropriate to spend any of the town's money down the road, so I'll be opposed.
Okay, Ron?
I think we need the red light. I believe most residents in Loxahatchee Groves feel like we need that red light. We gotta have a stopping point to give our people a break to get on Okeechobee Boulevard. I ride through there at 6 in the morning, I ride through there at 11 at night, which isn't bad. At 6 in the morning when they're getting ready to go to school, between 6 and 7:30, it's bad. The other thing is, I think we all probably know that the county, if we left it up to the county would not put a red light. Because first of all, they always said the state we didn't get the traffic flow to qualify for the state. And we had to fight to get them to recognize certain things and approve that we could put a light up. Town manager was telling me earlier this week that there's another town that wanted to had something, they were approached about 6 months ago about doing a project in their town. And they decided they didn't want to do it at the time. Well, 6 months later, they changed their mind, decided they want to do it with a price that doubled. We need to get a red light up. If the county is going to do what they want to, I believe, as far as 2 lanes, 4 lanes, or whatever, when it comes time, unless we fight hard as residents to stop them from 4 lanes. But no matter what, if they decide they need a different type of red light up there or something, if they tear it down, then they're going to have to replace it. And whenever the county makes up their mind what they're going to do with Okeechobee Boulevard, it's going to cost that much more. And if they still feel the same way as, well, hey, if you want a red light, you pay for it, then that's where they'll stand, and it'll cost us a whole lot more. So for 200-something thousand, 250, 290,000, for the safety of the residents of Loxahatchee Groves, I think we need it. We need to do it now while it's reasonable. I've got some questions for the engineers in a minute, but Mr. Mayor, I believe you were going to meet with the county commissioner as far as trying to get some. This is the first time that we've got some documentation on paper with a price and estimated costs and stuff like that. And I always said that when we got something on paper to where we could take it to the county instead of suggesting how much it's going to cost, and we would approach the county and see if they were willing to pay for it since it is their road. So I'd like to hear from the mayor as far as his meeting with the county commissioner.
We'll cover everybody else's on Ryan?
I still believe that, I agree with Ron as far as the need for traffic light. You know, a couple meetings ago, we had a petition submitted to us, and that gave me some pause, and then I took a look at the petition, and it's kind of interesting. I do applaud the effort done to get the petition done. I know it's not easy, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort. One interesting thing I saw was out of all the petitions, only barely 25% are from Loxahatchee Groves. And most of them are from the Acreage, Wellington, Royal Palm Beach. And, you know, there was a letter to the editor and town crier saying that I should heed the desire from the community. From the looks of the petition, what community am I looking at? Most of the people that I've spoken to want the red light. They feel there is a need for the red light, and 25% of this petition doesn't say a lot to me. If it was 50% or more, I might, you know, think about it a little bit harder. But at this point, I feel that the town really does need that light for the residents. It's not helping the county. It's definitely helping the town.
Okay. Jim?
I'm pleased that we are moving forward on this.
Okay, I've met with a couple of the county commissioners, 3, mentioned it to them, basically in light of another issue. Right now, they're in the middle of elections. We are going to have a new county commissioner representing for our group in another month. So I think that'll probably be the time right after that to sit down seriously. I live on D Road, and I honestly do not see a need for the light yet. I know that the county, if you listen to what George Webb said about the Minto property, they have in the, their plan is the 4-lane, and they're just holding off as long as they can at our request. So that's where we're at. Right now, I don't see a need for it. There was a need for it before the boom stopped, because you couldn't hardly get out of D Road sometimes. But there's only certain times. So I'm not ready to go forward with this right now. There's a lot of things that are going to change on Okeechobee. We want to make sure we get input in as to the design of that road, where we can get a very large median. And I agree with Tom, it's the county's road. We're not getting a commitment from them yet, but it's still their road. And if they put something there that causes our lives to be impacted, it's not what we've done. And I really think they should take it. But anyway, that's my thought. I've got 4, 5 public comments. Keith Harris, come on up.
Keith Harris, 2580 C Road. Mr. Mayor, members of council, I thank you, each and every one of you, for taking the time to consider the health, safety, and welfare of our community. It is paramount that we protect ourselves. We have an issue at hand of a traffic light on a road that we do not have site control. It is a county road. This road is going to be modified sooner than later into a 4-lane. Vice Mayor Gerald, during the Calvary Rose fight, voted for the town to support a 4-lane of Okeechobee, which is not what the citizens of this town wants. The petition that was referenced was prepared in only 24 man-hours. It was prepared as an opposition to the funding of the light by the town. Yes, there were approximately 95 Waxahachie Rose residents and 197 county residents. The county people were also saying for the town not to fund this light. So we have an issue at hand, a life safety issue, but we're going about it the wrong way. We need to go to the county and press the county to put this light in. Because if you spend the $290 and that light goes up in 3 years, 4 years, we're going to see a 4-lane. That light will come down, that intersection will be significantly modified to 4 lanes, turning lanes, what have you, and a mask light system would be put up, and our light will be cast aside. So our town has a lot of issues where we're trying to spend money when we do not have site control. We have people who want their roads stabilized, but the town does not have control. And until the town gets control, the town citizens are being left behind. So I ask you to reconsider this funding and pursue the alternate course of getting Palm Beach County to commit the funding. There's going to be impact fees from developments from our neighbors to the north and our future neighbors to the west. The school is going to put impact on this road. And we are bearing the cost. We're always paying for someone else's control items. So I ask you to reconsider this issue. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Tim Hart.
Tim Holmes, 1501 Timberland Place. traffic light on Lee Road in 3 minutes.